The wall clock was loud in the psychologist's office. Tick, tock, tick, tock. Oppressive, like my heartbeat. The room smelt faintly of cologne and old books, and each second of that clock pressed into the silence. And as sick of that silence as I was, the psychologist leaned forward and asked, "So, Leon, what's the real problem here for you?" I was still hunched over, staring at the floor. But in a tremoring voice, I said, "I don't know who I'm supposed to be anymore." It was 2015 and I was facing my crossroads. There was no lightning bolt of clarity, just this dull ache of realising I'd been shape-shifting for so long, I'd forgotten what the real me looked like. I felt like I was standing at a fork in the road. One path, familiar, well-worn, lined with masks, polished for perfection. The other, less familiar, unknown, barbed with vulnerability, honesty, and introspection. You see, I used to wear the right mask for every room. Officer and engineer at work, mate at footy, joker at dinner parties, fun dad with the kids. Like a human Swiss Army knife, I could flick out the right attachment for any situation. In fact, you could run a full-time costume department from my personality. And people used to think I had it together. I was married, had 2 kids, good job. I had an investment property, steady friends. And for a while I did, until the masks stopped working how I needed them to. You see, at work, the officer mask made decisions, solved problems, kept things on track. But at home, that same mask started to cause chaos. My wife yelled at me, "I don't need a commander, I need a partner." And I realised my kids didn't need efficiency, they needed me. One Saturday afternoon, my son asked, "Dad, why are you always so tired?" And I opened my mouth to respond, but no words come out. Because how do you tell your kid that you're tired of yourself? The truth was, I was exhausted from pretending. And as my marriage unravelled, I started to glitch. You see, I used to think I had the transitions nailed, like Clark Kent in a phone booth. But lately, it felt like I walked into the booth, forgotten why I was there, come out wearing the wrong pants. All these versions of me were bleeding into each other. It was like watching paint run down the wall, all of the colours blending into that weird brown that nobody really likes. And my life began to crack. And the more it cracked, the more shame leaked through. That's when I booked the psychologist. And sitting there in that silence, he asked, Sitting there in that silence, I said to him, "I'm not sure I realised just how much pain I'd been carrying." He looked directly at me and said, "Leon, you've got a chance. People grow when they're uncomfortable, but they change when they're in pain. What are you going to do?" So I made a choice to take off the masks, to stop being who I thought everyone needed me to be, and start being me. Wish it to say it was easy. It wasn't. It was real. The first time I tried out the mask-free life, I sat the kids down to dinner and I said, I'm trying to be more open about my feelings. My daughter squinted and asked, are you dying? Then I tried to talk about gratitude. My son interrupted. We just want the spaghetti, Dad. It was funny, but it hurt. Because this new version of me was awkward and unfamiliar, even to them. But bit by bit, things started to change. No fanfare or movie montage of growth, just tiny moments of unarmoured me stacking on top of each other. And I finally stopped wearing masks like armour, because I realised that family dinners are not a battlefield. Although, to be fair, I have seen less conflict than in many defence briefings. I remember talking to my brother one day. I said, I don't feel like I need to work out who I need to be today. And that's freeing. It wasn't easy. Was it clumsy? Yes. But was it awkward and uncomfortable? Also yes. But it was real, and it felt honest, and it made me realise that success isn't about being strong or the best in every room. It's about being yourself in every room and helping others feel safe enough to do the same. That was the real lesson hiding underneath all those masks. Because when you stop performing and start showing up, people get to meet the real you. And connection, true connection, only happens there. So, let me ask you a question. Think on this. What masks are you wearing that are heavy? Which ones might you be finally able to put down? Taking the mask off might feel painful at first. Raw, exposing. But that's where the real work, the bravery begins. And it's the best work you'll ever do. All right, let's fast forward to just a few years ago when I got engaged to my now wife, Layla. Yes. I wanted to do it in a way that lent into these changes. I sat the family down around the dinner table, just the four of us, Layla, the kids and I. We're sitting around a table filled with the perfect Chinese takeout. You know the one. Mongolian beef, sweet and sour pork, honey chicken, prawn crackers. Not sure which one you're going for first. And I started the conversation by saying, I want everybody at the table to share one thing they love and appreciate about somebody else at the table. I got a little bit of laughter, an eye roll, and one not very well suppressed. Oh, he's doing it again. But the laughter stopped. Everybody leant in and they shared something real. And when it came around to me, I looked at Layla and I told her what I loved and appreciated about her. And then I asked her to marry me. That moment wasn't polished or perfect. In fact, I think she had to put the prawn cracker down to put the wedding ring on me. But it was real. And I tell you what, it was pretty bloody awesome. Because it reminded me that strength isn't about fighting with yourself to hold it all together. It's about being brave enough to let people in. So, remember, take off the masks. And you might find that the person hiding underneath all that armour is a good-looking, intelligent, humble person who you admire and appreciate, just like I did. Thank you.